Breaking news that's coming in. This week, many rejoiced after the Haji Ali Dargah Trust told the Supreme Court that it would allow women to enter the sanctum of the shrine from now on. This was seen as returning to the position before 2012 when women were allowed inside the sanctum sanctorum. But here's the big catch everybody missed. From now on, neither men nor women will be allowed to touch the tomb. If the additional affidavit submitted by the trust before the Supreme Court is to go by, the trust has said it is going to construct a restricted area around the tomb. Neither men nor women will be allowed in that area. The new scheme has been devised by the trust on the basis of the concept of equality between men and women in Islam. So that is the catch now, which is coming in as part of the supplementary affidavit that the Haji Ali Trust has in fact submitted in the Supreme Court. Their plan is to have a restricted area around the tomb. The sanctum sanctorum is where men and women will be allowed, but there will be a restricted area. So neither men nor women will be allowed anywhere close to the tomb or would be able to touch the tomb. So the Haji Ali Trust gave the court the impression that they would be in fact submitting to how provisions were before 2012, but that is not the case. Vinay Deshpande, resident editor of the News, joins us live on this story from Mumbai. Vinay, what is the catch now? It appears that the Haji Ali Trust has almost hoodwinked the Supreme Court.
Absolutely, and this raises two most important questions. One is that whether this is a victory or defeat for women's rights movement really, because the whole petition was filed to ensure that women have unrestricted right to pray. Now, while they do not want to allow, just because they do not want to allow the women to touch the tomb, they seem to have come with this ingenious idea of not allowing men as well. So in fact, I don't know if the men should actually go out and protest and probably file a petition saying their right to pray is being affected due to this. And the second thing, the second most important question this raises is that whether this is in contravention to the Bombay High Court order which was passed some time ago. The Bombay High Court had clearly stated status quo ante, which means the position had to be restored to before 2012, the way it was. And as shown on the channel, we have photographs, we have evidence to show how men and women freely entered the sanctum sanctorum, not just entered the sanctum sanctorum, but they also touched the tomb while offering the prayer. Now, by constructing a restricted area called Mujawar area, which will be 12 square meters around the sanctum sanctorum, around the tomb, which is already a very, the sanctum sanctorum is already a very crunched place. So when you restrict that Mujawar area around it, you are ensuring that nobody, no woman, no man will be able to go anywhere near the tomb. And this seems to be a very regressive step. It's far away from being progressive.
Absolutely. Vinay, stay on the line with us because Firoz Mithiborwala, activist from Mumbai, also joins us live now on this story. How do you see this development? Because it appears that the Haji Ali Trust is hoodwinked the Supreme Court. It is clearly violative, as Vinay was pointing out, of the Bombay High Court order, which said that you will maintain status quo ante, which means you will go back to the position as it existed before 2012, where both men and women could go into the sanctum sanctorum and also touch the tomb. Pictures are available of celebrities like Priya Dutt as well, having had the opportunity and the good fortune to touch the tomb at Haji Ali Dargah. That is not going to be possible now.
Precisely. It just goes to show the extent to which the conservative Muslim clergy, the extent to it will go to prevent women from their rights to the sacred space on par with men. To the extent that they will now even bar men from, going to the mazar. It is pitiful, it is laughable at a certain level, but I believe that they have violated the court order, the High Court court order. They have tried to hoodwink us. We've seen through the game, and we will plan accordingly as to what strategy. I think both as men and women now, men and women both should unite for the struggle ahead.
Right. So are you saying that this will be challenged now in the Supreme Court as well? This is part of the supplementary affidavit that the Haji Ali Trust has submitted in the Supreme Court, giving them their plan of action, putting this, this restricted area around the tomb, etc. The plan that they're making where both men and women won't be allowed near the sanctum sanctorum. Are you going to challenge this plan?
Yes, we will. We are waiting for the Dargah to open up on the 7th or 8th after the stay order lapses. We ourselves will go there and look at the physical arrangement that has been made. On the basis of the evidence that we collect, we will go back to the High Court. Because the Supreme Court has made it very clear that the High Court order should be followed. And the High Court judgment was very, very clear and specific about going back to the status quo of 2011. So I believe that the trustees will finally have to give in to the High Court order, but it will take a little more struggle, a little more mating on our part for us to get what we've been fighting for.
Right. Vinay, have you had a chance to look at the affidavit which has been submitted by the Haji Ali Dargah Trust? How have they managed to hoodwink the Supreme Court as far as the provisions are concerned? Because like Firoz was pointing out, the Supreme Court order is very clear that you have to abide by what the High Court order was, which basically said status quo ante, as you put it out, before 2012. How things existed, they need to go back to that same position.
Yeah, so very interestingly, what they have done in this additional affidavit which was filed before the Supreme Court this week is that they have said how men and women have equal right, but equal rights not as per the constitution, but as per the Islamic law. And what does Islamic law say? They explain after some time that though men and women have equal right to pray, but women are encouraged to pray from within the confines of the house. So additional responsibility is added on the shoulders of the women to ensure that they do not generally enter the public realm. And that is explained through the help of various hadiths which have been cited throughout the additional affidavit that has been submitted. So then they go ahead and tell the court that because Islam says that women are allowed to go to a place of worship where there is segregation of sexes. The men can enter, the women can enter from different entrances, they shouldn't intermingle and mix. So if that is going to happen, women are allowed to enter the place of worship. And to do that, they are going to now carry out modifications in the structure. That is how they say that in October they have passed a new resolution this month which overrides a resolution which was passed by the trust last year, which disallowed the women from entering the sanctum sanctorum and which upheld basically the ban. Now this one says that though the resolution which was passed this month, it says that though men and women can now equally enter the sanctum sanctorum from different entrances, they will not, neither men nor women will now be able to touch the tomb. So that is how they seem to have kind of wrapped the bitter pill in a very nice sugar coating and submitted to the court. So what it has done is the affidavit clearly states that Islam does not encourage women to go out and pray in the dargahs, that is to visit the dargahs, to visit the graves. It does not encourage women to do that, but that should not be taken as prohibition. There is no ban, but then it again sugarcoats it and says whoever is a believer wouldn't like to go against the teachings of the religion anyway, which means it again puts the additional responsibility on the women's burden, saying women's shoulders, saying that women are not encouraged to go, so why are you going in the first place? So that is, those are the kind of small catches that you can see in the additional affidavit.
Right. Firoz, how do you respond to that? Because they seem to have quoted the Islamic law, which basically says, as Vinay was neatly pointing it out, that women as per Islam are not encouraged to step outside the confines of their homes and their private spaces to go out and pray. So if you're being given that opportunity, remember, you will possibly get that opportunity with limited restrictions, and this is the catch that they've managed to somehow slip into that additional affidavit that they've submitted into the Supreme Court.
This is all that can be expected of the Indian Muslim clergy, that basically believes that women are stupid, women have less sense, and this is the Islam of the mullahs. This is not the Islam of the people. It is very clear that men and women both have equal rights. There are women who go to pray in mosques all across the world. This is a South Asian problem, mainly the problem emanating from North India, the backwardness of the clergy that come out from Bihar and UP, which is a reality, sadly to say. So this is basically the cultural backwardness of Indian Muslims, the intellectual backwardness of Indian Muslim intellectuals who actually need to fight this battle. And at the same time, it is clear that the reformist movement within the Indian Muslim community is being today led by women, and it is Indian Muslim women in tandem with Muslim liberal men who are now heading this struggle and showing what true religion means. All religions basically have to give equal space and equal rights of worship to both men and women. So this is a losing battle. They can keep all those little words that they play around with and quote the hadith from here and there, but there is enough evidence within Islam itself, within the Islamic tradition itself, to prove that both men and women go to the dargahs, to the mazars, to the graveyards. There is no problem at all, and it's happening all across the world. And as I said, this struggle is heading in a direction where we are winning the intellectual debate. We are winning the debate both in the courts and on the streets and on the TV screens.
You say that we're winning the debate, but you know what this has exposed, the story that Binaya has brought forward, has exposed how they're basically cheating the system. On the one hand, just a few days ago, we were rejoicing over the position that the Haji Ali Trust had taken.